Hello, today for review I've got a pair of really unusual in-ear monitors, and you can see the name on the box. It's TinHiFi P1. Well, this model recently caused a lot of hype, but I didn't hurry to make a review, so I usually prefer to wait until the dust behind the people trying to catch the hype train settle a little bit, and I had some time to burn them in, to listen them properly, and now I'm ready to tell about them in more details and to tell my, well, verdict is probably too strong word, but I'm ready to share my opinion, because I'm not a type of person to name the kings, to say about hidden gems, to cry go and buy it. I'm trying to describe the sound and my impressions, and that's all. So because personal audio is subjective, and trying to say that something is a gem is probably not really objective. Well, let's go back to the P1. Actually, TinHiFi really found their place under the sun. They created three really good models for those who prefer neutrality and detalization: P2, P2 Pro, and P3. Two single dynamic drivers and one hybrid model, and now they've came up with really unusual model. P1 is in-ear monitors with 10mm planar-magnetic driver, and this makes this model really interesting. And the best thing here is that it's priced relatively reliable. It costs about $170, and I think it's really good price for this package, accessory set, and of course sound. But let's have a closer look. Package is really nice, but nice package is basically Tin Audio's middle name. It's made of black cardboard with nice soft touch effect, minimalistic polygraphy, and when you remove this sleeve, as usual, inside there is another box. It opens this way, looks pretty stylish and luxury, and inside we'll have a case with accessories set inside, in-ear monitors themselves, and underneath small manual. Do we have? Yeah, we do. Technical specifications. So what we've got here: 10mm planar magnetic driver, sensitivity 96 decibels. As you can see, it's really low. Frequency response from 10 Hz to 40 kHz, impedance 20 ohms, so it requires proper player that could output enough current to drive it, because 96 decibels is not probably the most toughest to drive model, but still it requires a bit of additional current. And in this stylish case you will have cable itself, really good cable, oxygen-free copper, and set of tips. At least Tin Audio are not greedy, and they put enough tips in the accessory set. So additional pair of foams, smaller than this one in stock. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pair of silicone tips, so accessory set is also pretty good. In terms of design and build quality, P1s are great. They are made of metal, and probably it's a steel, not a regular aluminum, but I could be wrong, of course. But they are a bit heavier than typical aluminum shells, and they are better polished than typical aluminum shells. So probably it's a steel, but I'm not sure, and I'm too lazy to Google. Shape is inspired by a golf club, and it looks pretty stylish, and at the same time it's pretty convenient, because all inner surfaces are really smooth, zero sharp edges, so they are really fitting nicely into ears, and they are very comfortable. As you can see, spouts have proper angle, they have a bit more than average length, but sound isolation is about average because in-ear monitors themselves are pretty compact. But of course sound isolation will be enough for noisy street or for public transport, for typical daily usage. There is a lip to hold the tips and there is a protective grill, so nothing will fall inside of the shells. Here is it with tips. Build quality is also really good. Cables are made replaceable. Used here MM6 connector. It also has metal shell, metal body. It has good quality, nice click. It holding really well. There is ear hook format. No memory wire inside, but it's holding cable around your ear really nicely. Of course they are designed to be worn over the ear. Probably you can wear them cable down, but it won't be really convenient. It will require another cable, so I think that it's basically over the ear wearing in-ear monitors. Cable itself is pretty good. It's not the softest one, but not the toughest one, so it's somewhere in between in terms of softness. It has a slight microphonic effect, but thanks to these ear hooks it won't be an issue. It's not getting hard when it's cold, it's not tangling, so really nice, attractive cable and pretty good in terms of usability. There is a chin slider made as this plastic transparent ball metal splitter, and here it goes, loosely braided, reminding me cables from iBasso IT01. It goes down to this straight jack with carbon insert, so in terms of design, in terms of build quality, they are pretty stylish and built really well. And of course about the sound. First of all, they require a burn-in about 20 or 25 hours until their sound settled, and as usual, of course, you need to find the proper tips to have the better isolation. And speaking about the general representation, you know, that's really planar-magnetic in-ear monitors, because probably the closest in terms of general representation models are Hi-Fi Man's HE400, Sandara and so on. It's really detailed sound with crazy level of transitions, with crazy fast, with absolutely insane level of precision, and without any accents in the lower part of sonic spectrum. So if you like V-shaped signature, if you like accented bass, it's not a model for you. But if you need something really natural monitoring and at the same time with good macro contrasts, with good transitions and so on, it's probably worth model that worth your attention. So let's have a player on the table to use it for examples, and let's proceed with sound description. So bass is absolutely linear, as I've said. It has really good resolution, that pretty close to balanced armatures, but at the same time it has more weight and more authority, and it goes really deep, and it's perfectly controlled in these depths, because it's planars and it's noticeable. It's probably lacking a bit of accent at some tracks, in some electronic music, for example, especially if you used to it, but it's just a signature. Actually, Tin audio signature is natural, and these in-ear monitors are not an exception. And actually, let's provide an example. I used this track as bass example a few times. It's Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Suite. I need never get old. Nice. Probably it's country and mix of country and rock. And this track is a good example. and because here they're using big punchy drum at the beginning, and these in-ear monitors really manage to give you the sense of this big drum beating. Mids are also natural, also linear, almost zero accents, good resolution, good level of micro contrast, but at the same time they are really good in playing macro things like some blows, explosions, rumbles, and other stuff like that. They are really good in representing emotions, but at the same time they don't add emotions themselves. You need to use good, properly recorded, properly mastered, well mixed tracks, because if tracks are bad you will hear it, so they require nice quality of material to shine. Resolution is good, not balanced armatures, but anyway it's better than typical dynamic drivers in this price range, and what, as I've already said, they are really realistic. So they also offer really good extended imaginary stage and a bit above average in width and in depth, and this gives you a good sense of three-dimensional sound. Of course, as much as it possible with in-ear monitors. So as an example for the mid frequencies, a bit unusual track, but actually it's Pantera's Walk, and you know, I like such representation for heavy metal. I'm probably in minority, but I like dry, a bit aggressive, forward sound. Not everyone will like it because, let's be honest, typical heavy metal tracks are not recorded and mastered properly, and you will hear that it's not really masterpiece of mastering. Sorry for this pun. So, but anyway, I really like how they represent guitars, how they represent drums, percussions, and how they represent this level of aggression that is typical for the Pantera. It's not surprising that this genre is called angry metal, and you will hear all the smallest nuances of this aggressiveness, and you will hear all that anger. And mids perfectly transitions to the treble. The treble has good extension, it's a bit accented, so if you're treble sensitive probably you need to listen to this model before buying, but it's, you know, it's also typical for the tin audio. For me they have normal treble in terms of quantity, because slight accent here is present, but it's adding clarity and it's adding sense of crispness, and at the same time it's not making them too bright or too sibilant. Of course, if record is recorded with sibilance, if record is distorted with compression, especially on the upper treble, you will hear that because the treble extension here is really nice. But well, it's not this in-ear monitor's fault probably. And as an example, also I use this album sometimes, it's John Carpenter's soundtracks, Lost Themes, and this one is Domain. I really like his music, and I really like this typical 80s sound of synthesizers going pretty high, and they require nice performance on treble to sound probably realistic isn't correct word here, because it's synthesizer, it's not realistic, but to sound lifelike probably they require good treble, and P1 will give it. So to summarize everything, natural model with good resolution and perfect transitions, and with good macro detailization, with slight accent on the treble, for those who like natural and technical in-ear monitors. As for pairing, they require a bit of additional power from the source, so probably something like Fio's M11, for example, or other players that can output at least 100 of milliwatts, or even better 200, because I actually have to turn the high gain here on the L2 PAV Gold to drive them properly, because they will play with something with smartphones, with tablets. They will be loud, but they will be sounding super thin and a bit annoying. So they require proper source, and please keep this in mind too. Also, actually, they are pretty sensitive to cable swapping, but the best cable that I used with them was from Canon Official. I like that cable with them. Also, they are really responsive to the tip swapping, but almost non-surprisingly, the best option was Mandarin Symbio tips, because they provide better resolution and offering better bass response. Usually in this part of my review I provide some comparisons, but I'm afraid this time I can't do that, because planar-magnetic in-ear monitor sounds really different in terms of general representation, and it's hard to describe with words probably. They are faster than typical dynamic drivers, they are more linear than vast majority of in-ear monitors in this price range, they are more weighty than typical balanced armatures. For example, Ostrich KC09, my reference point in this range, they are less resolving, they are more weighty, they are warmer, while this one are better in terms of resolution, better in terms of transitions, better in terms of neutrality, but also they are a bit brighter. KZAS16, well, they are thinner, especially it's noticeable on the mid. They are probably resolution is about the same, maybe even a bit less, but they sound thinner, and because of that a bit less realistic, and so on and so forth. So sorry, but probably I can't do any comparisons. But if you want, just feel free to ask about some models. I will try to describe, at least in general tonality, but P1 really differs. So to summarize everything, TinAudio created yet another really interesting model. As before, they are probably not universal, I can't say go grab them instantly, it's insta-buy, it's giant killer and so on. But if you are okay with natural in-ear monitors, if you're looking for the resolution and for technical capabilities, and if you have a good source for them, probably P1 will surprise you. It's probably a truly audiophilic model for those who prefer pure technicality, and it's typical for the TinAudio, and in this aspect they are definitely worth their price, and I'm really glad that TinAudio managed to create such unusual and good model. Thank you for attention.